Ranma half, Ranma 1/2, Ranma 0.5, whatever you want to call it, Ranma has come home and it feels so good. So I just watched the first episode of the 2024 version of Ranma, and it was great. We could end everything right there saying it was a good time, but of course, there's a little bit more to it than that. You see, Ranma has always been one of my favorite anime franchises ever since I was a wee little weeb. Some of my earliest memories of anime fandom even predate actually seeing Ranma because, let's be honest, back in the day, Ranma advertisements were everywhere. You could not escape advertisements for this show if you even remotely knew what anime was, because there was a lot of Ranma to go around and they were always shoving it in everyone's face. And you know what? That's perfectly fine because Ranma's awesome. We need more Ranma in our day. I wish there was Ranma everywhere these days, but unfortunately we live in the world we live in, so we don't have Ranma around every corner anymore. And when I finally witnessed some Ranma on a glorious CRT, I was hooked. If you've never seen Ranma, it's a story as old as time about a boy named Ranma who turns into a girl named Ranma when he's splashed with cold water. Ranma has a dad named Genma who turns into a panda when he's hit with cold water. And this all happened because they fell in some water while training. We join the story, however, when Ranma meets his fiancée Akane, who is set up to marry Ranma because, well, their dad set it up. Pretty soon you feel bad for Ranma though, because he has better options in his life, like shampoo. And there's some other stuff that happens, but that's pretty much the entire anime, right? Anyway, even though I've always been a huge fan of this action-packed, gender-bending comedy, even I will admit the last couple of seasons of the TV series get a little rough. So the thought of this remake was very appealing to me for the simple fact that we deserve more Ranma, and we deserve more quality Ranma at that. So watching the first episode of this remake was a very special experience for me. I never got to experience any Ranma when it was brand new, hot off the presses. Well, now I have fixed that. I witnessed Ranma content when it was brand new, and it was glorious. Yeah, the first episode was pretty much perfect. Some might not agree, but you can go start your own channel and express your views there. I thought this episode was exactly what it should have been. It wasn't exactly a frame-by-frame remake of the original anime, but it also kinda was. It didn't feel like something aimed exclusively at the old heads, but it also kind of was. It didn't feel like it was exclusively targeting new fans either, but it kind of was. Yeah, it checked a lot of the good boxes, and the cherry on top, of course, being the fact that it was super faithful to the original manga, something that people have complained about for years with the old series. Plus the animation quality. It looks so good. Sure, it might not be the best looking thing out there, but it's exactly what it should be. I was impressed. The original looks great, of course, as well, but it was just nice to see our favorite characters with a fresh coat of paint on them. With that being said, the best character wasn't even in the first episode, so we have some stuff to look forward to, not only in this series, but in life. Yes, we have finally found a new reason to live. Thank God, it took long enough. And the theme song is great as well. It was recorded by Ano, someone who's no stranger to having her music featured in anime. She was featured in Chainsaw Man, amongst others. Plus, not only did I see her perform at Anime Weekend Atlanta 2023, but I met her there as well. She was super nice, and it's pretty awesome to know that I met someone who has now performed one of the classic, or at least soon to be classic, Ranma opening songs, because the Ranma opening songs have a history of being bangers that feature the best of the best in modern J-pop at that time. It's great to see that tradition continuing. So I watched this thing with the English dub because that's how I watched the original. I know a lot of people are not fans of that, but I watched a lot of my early anime dubbed, and I know many of you did as well, so I decided to just keep the tradition going with this one. It's a different cast, but for the most part, they're pretty good. I knew it would be different, but it seems fine by me. This might be the most unexciting part of the whole show in all honesty, but it's still pretty good. They do a good job. I'm a fan. I'm going to keep watching it dubbed, at least for the time being. Yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about the first episode. And that's that. So hear me out. It's nice to see Netflix getting behind this thing so hard from day one, giving it an English dub, and making it feel like it's really a big deal. I know a lot of people have expressed concerns about the show being exclusive to Netflix, but where did you want it to land? Netflix is still the face of streaming content to so many people these days, and I'm very happy that it ended up on something with a bigger reach than Crunchyroll or High Dive. While I loved the Urusei Yatsura remake as well, the subtitled only release via High Dive in America pretty much doomed it to never reach a larger audience outside of the otaku audience that was already going to check it out regardless. Will Ranma reach a larger audience than the average otaku? Only time will tell, but it's set up to do exactly that. My only concern with it being on Netflix in all reality is that I do want a physical release of this, but we have been getting some physical releases of Netflix exclusive properties, so hopefully this show will fall into that category as well. On top of that, some people have been asking why even remake the show at all. The original series is fairly accessible these days after all. Well, the original series is intimidating for a modern audience. Believe me, I've been preaching the good gospel of Ranma for years. But there's some barriers of entry for newer fans that are pretty hard for them to get over. The show started in 1989. The show has a lot of episodes. On top of the show having a lot of episodes, it's a pretty well-known fact that not all of them are necessarily good, but many people don't know how to pick out the good ones versus the bad ones in the mix. Also, many people that haven't even seen the show know that there's not really a great ending after all of those episodes, so that could keep some people away. And while the show is fairly accessible, it could be more accessible if it was on Netflix or Crunchyroll. Will all these things be solved in the remake? Who knows? Time will tell. And while I'm sure there's more I'm leaving out, if you're a fan of this classic franchise or, well, classic anime in general, you should be happy it's getting another chance to wow weebs of all ages. Even if you don't care about the new version, it should bring some fans to the original series. That's never a bad thing. It's always been bizarre to me how Ranma seems to have been forgotten by the general otaku populace, especially in recent years. Sure, series like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon continue to be relevant, but Ranma gets the short end of the stick time and time and time and time again. I'm sure it's because it's not one of those Toonami golden greats, so that might not be the most fair comparison, but it's a little strange that so many people seem to know it as that other show from the creator of Inuyasha at best, or don't even have a clue what it even is at worst. Hopefully this new version can help fix that. Because by God, even if you hate Ranma, you will know what Ranma is. So all in all, we're off to a good start with the 2024 version of Ranma and all of his friends. Will the magic continue for the entire series? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I for one am very, very excited to see. Sure, we're getting a ton of remakes of every type of old property you can think of in every version of media these days, but Ranma is a special one to me. It didn't feel like they were rehashing old ideas per se. It felt like I was seeing old friends again for the first time in a very, very, very long time. This franchise has always been there for me, and hopefully this new version of the show will usher in a new group of fans that can speak about their cherished memories of Ranma when the series gets remade again 20 years from now. Ranma really is a legend in the anime scene. So until we get that remake of Mad Bull 34 that everyone's waiting for, I guess we can make do with everyone's favorite gender-bending martial artist. Long live Ranma.